people have spoken. It is time to listen to people, not the dictatorships that they're ruled by. Hello, my name is Säye Skye. I go by he, they. I'm an activist, I'm an artist, producer, human lover, animal lover, and trying to be vegan. The Iranian regime, the Islamic Republic of Iran, like this regime has an ideology, and they sacrifice anything for that ideology. And what is the ideology? Spreading hate, spreading terror around the world, and using whatever they have in their power to generate more money and more power to control and spread what they have around the world. So to me, it's all about, like, you know, the Iranian government has Sepah, and then the Iranian government has this parliament and the president and the ministers, and all of this together, I think it all rules by one person, and that's the supreme leader of Iran. And that's who decides where the money goes and everything. So I was in Iran. It was during green movement. And, you know, I mean, they always said that there's no homosexuals in Iran. There's no queer people in Iran. And I was really fed up. And it was the time that at the time President Ahmadinejad went around and said that we don't have homosexuals in Iran. And, you know,
in Iran, we don't have homosexuals like in your country.
To me, we were in the streets like anybody else because the people were in the streets, you know, and regardless of your background, your gender identity, your religion, nothing, like people wanted something different. And that's why 5 million people, I was there in the middle of Tehran, 5 million people were holding hands, doing nothing, super peaceful protest, but they started shooting, right? So when you see that, and then at the same time, when it's around the election time, you know, election is the most important thing for the Iranian regime. You know why? Because it legitimizes their actions. They say that, okay, people are behind us, right? So, but people, you know, today people have a different understanding of that election, and another election is coming up soon, actually this year. And I think people now know that they can't trust this regime at all. Like, you know, this is not going to change. Nothing has changed since 42 years ago. Everything got worse. I released a song about LGBTQ rights, and that happened to be the first piece of evidence from Iran stating that people, LGBTQ people in Iran do exist. And when I released that song at the time, I was in Iran. So that started a new wave, and all of a sudden the media paid attention to this topic because it was a taboo topic and no one ever talked about it. And even the outside media and television, the Iranian ones, they never talked about this issue because they didn't want to bring the idea to their audience that we're bringing something from West. This is a Western thing. We're forcing you to, you know. So it just started happening. And the next thing I know, I was interviewing with the radio stations from Netherlands, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, all these different countries. And it started a wave, and I had to leave because of that. So I released my first song ever. And now I have to leave the country. I have to say goodbye to everything. I couldn't even say goodbye to my family and friends because it was just such a scary situation, right? And then I went to Turkey. I sought asylum as a refugee at United Nations, and they already knew me when I went there because there was so much information online about me. And yeah, so and then I chose Canada from 3 countries that I had between Canada, United States, and Germany. But when I was in Turkey, but let me tell you that, but when I was in Turkey, their harassments, their threats never stopped. Like when I left Iran, there was this page on the Iranian government website, Fars News, that stated that there was a fatwa on my head that I need to get killed because I spread sin and my actions are against humanity and everything. So, but when I went to Turkey, they were after me. They tried to kidnap me in Ankara. you know, and I had to run away from them. There was this like run and chase, and I jumped in a cab, and you know, they were after me, and you know, they would find my phone number. They would tell me, do you think you're out of Iran, you're free, we're gonna find you, we're gonna chop your body, rape you, and send you back to Iran, like these. And then, you know, you're like, oh my God, right? At that moment you're like, what is going on? I didn't do anything. I just released a song that says I do exist, we do exist in Iran. What is wrong with that? So anyway, but you know, I managed, and yeah, I came to Canada, and I've been doing my activism since then, and I never stopped, because you know, when they say stuff like that and they're after you, you know, you're doing something right, actually. I think I hit the hornet's net, or you know, I just yeah. Yeah, I released TNE in 2018, I believe, and all these years I've been collecting all this bad news coming from Iran and the region, and what is going on politically, you know, in terms of people's situations and everything. And I think TNE sums it up, because TNE talks about so many different issues in Iran. And from you know, women's right to Afghans not having any rights in Iran, and you know, basically Afghans are being treated so bad, like bad. I don't know, bad is not a good word. Like, it's the worst. The kids can't have any ID, and they can't have any insurance. They, you know, there's always, like, I remember when I was a kid, one time I went to buy bread, and there was this Afghan worker, and somebody in the line, when he got to the front of the line, the bread maker told him to go back in the line again. So as I was trying to buy my bread, this guy went 3 times to the back of the line every time, and that is that's the least. So to me, it's really important to talk about what is going on in Iran, and actually the Afro-Iranians, you know, in south of Iran, it's so underprivileged, and there's so much oil. The oil industry is basically in south of Iran, and you see like these communities that, you know, the government doesn't pay any attention, and you know, they've been quiet, they've been silenced all these years, and we need to talk about these issues. Right. So yeah, when I came to Canada, I mean, that's how actually I met one of my very best friends in Canada. I think it was under 30 days that I was here, and I was looking to do some volunteer work. I looked around, and I don't know, I met some people, and somebody gave me an address, and I went there, and I met some people who were making some brochures and signs for May Day, and it was really interesting. So I was making sandwiches, and I was, you know, I got to know the community over there, and I got to know No One Is Illegal group over there. And at the same time, I got to work with this organization called News Circles, and that provides free services for underprivileged people in specific regions. And I was basically doing a lot of things. And one of the moments that I had in that organization, I was translating for people, for families who speak Farsi, and there was this family from Afghanistan, and they called me to go translate. And when I said hello in Farsi to this woman, she started yelling, no, 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 not this one, no, not this one. And you know, and the person who was in charge, like, she didn't know what's going on, so she was like, but this is our translator, like, you know. And in that moment, I had to sit on the ground, look her from down, and tell her, I'm so sorry for what's happened in Iran to you and your people. I'm not everybody is the same, and I'm here to help you, let me help you. And there was this drop of tear in silence coming out of her eye. And it was just such a moment. And to me, that's one of the most crucial moments of my life, because, you know, you see how it affects people, right? You see how racism and it transfers to the other generations, to other people. Like, this woman never saw me in Iran, but she knew that I'm from Iran, so she was triggered by that, right? So that was one organization that I worked, and then I worked with Dr. Maysami's foundation, which is an amazing foundation. Dr. Borna Maysami's foundation is a foundation that provides free dental care for women in shelters who have suffered from abuse and trauma. And yeah, I was the ambassador. I would go around and talk to the different shelters, different case workers, and find clients and talk to the clients and stuff. And yeah, and I worked with a bunch of times. I worked with 519 at Säye, and there's this other event called Çelteke, which is an LGBTQ Iranian LGBTQ group here. So we have like we used to have I don't know, like specific ceremonies for New Year, for Yalda, for like all these you know, celestial things that we have in our culture. So and then we ran like movie nights and everything. And these are some of the stuff that I did. But I also, when I was in Turkey, I worked with a bunch of different organizations going around Turkey, filming, documenting refugee lives. Because yeah, especially like 10 years ago, nobody would talk about these things. And then right after, you know, my interview on VOA and BBC Persia about like queer rights, it started a new wave. And when I had that original interview with the VOA in Istanbul, and that was the first time that somebody came in front of a television, in front of a camera, and said, I'm queer and I'm Iranian, right? I received more than 2,000 emails from Iranians from inside Iran, from different areas of Iran, from outside of Iran. I received 3 emails from 3 gay guys that said they wanted to commit suicide that day, and they saw me on television and they stopped. I received an email from this woman in a very rural area in Iran. Then the email started with saying, hello, I can't use this computer. My daughter is typing this, but I want you to know I saw you today and I cried, and you are a child of Iran. So this whole wave of, you know, people just realizing that, first of all, they just needed to see somebody, and they just needed to relate to that person as a human, right? And to this day, I receive so many messages on Instagram from youth, from, I don't know, like queer people that said that they always say, hey, I played your song to my mom. I left the house and I told her, Mom, I'm gay. Can I come home? And I'm like, oh my God, just make sure that you're safe, you know? Just, but yeah, so many people told me that I was the reason that they came out to their parents, to their friends, to themselves. I was the reason they came out to themselves. And, you know, I think it just makes me more humble, and knowing that what I do and the message that I send out, it does make a difference on so many different levels. And especially with TNE, when I released my song TNE, I received emails from Egypt, from Israel, from Palestine, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Iraq. People told me that they could relate to the stuff that I was saying in TNE, because it's not only Iran that bans women. It's not only Iran that doesn't pay workers. It's not only Iran that is putting so much pressure and intelligence on people. It's the region. It's so many different countries as well, right? And it's, unfortunately, it's we have a bunch of different dictatorships around the world, and you know, it's, I think music has a way to people's hearts and minds. And, you know, words are so important and expressive. They can change lives, as they have with my art. So yeah, every day I get something like that, and I'm every time that I get something like that, it just makes me go harder and, you know, not give up, because, you know, I know that if even if I change one person's mind, that is a lot. So the movie No Hard Feelings that I worked on a composition and soundtrack, and yes, it's made in Germany. It's a German movie, but the story is about this Iranian family in Germany, and that Iranian family resembles a lot of different struggles that a migrant family would face in a society like Germany, with that background of the German country, right? You know, and so, but unfortunately, this is not only Germany. This is a new movement that we see around the world. Like, look at Poland. You know, look at all these horrific laws that all these governments are putting into action against migrants and people who are forced to move to another country because of their safety, because there's a dictatorship going on over there and they're running away from that. At the same time, these so-called democratic countries are not so democratic when it comes to people who are not from that region for any reason, right? These problems exist, and we need to acknowledge that these exist. But at the same time, I feel like movies like No Hard Feelings, songs like TNE, and, you know, acts like artist acts and arts can actually change things, change cultures, and open another perspective for people. Somebody might not know, somebody might be in that situation, somebody might be ignorant because they grew up being ignorant. They were taught to be ignorant, and they can unlearn that. People need to unlearn that, unlearn racism, unlearn sexism, because when you're born, you don't know anything about any of these. You're just a little human being, you know, and you need to keep that spirit. If we want to live together, if we want to coexist with each other, we need to keep that spirit. We need, more than anything, we need the laws to be behind people. And when I say the laws behind people, regardless of who that person is, regardless of their religion, I don't care if it's Muslim, Jewish, nothing, atheist, regardless of their gender identity, regardless of their abilities or disabilities, regardless of any of that, the basic human rights, we need to focus on that in any government. And I think, yes, when I lived in Canada for a long time, and then I went to Germany, and I realized the way they're dealing with refugees over there. And I was talking to people over there, and I was telling them that these are the things that the Canadian government is doing, and it is working. These are the things that you guys are doing, and it is working. So I'm gonna go back and talk to my communities in Canada, because we need to exchange information. I don't think acting and activism as an individual is going to work out. Yeah, it might work. It might have a short effect for a short period of time. But imagine if you channel that energy within a community, right? And create that environment that people feel they do belong and they can make a difference, and then move that and take that to another level. I think that has a much better impact than just doing it on your own, and not actually connecting to other sources.
That's right. That's awesome. Thank you.
تنهایی مثل سوزنه، مثل الکل میره زیر پوست تو، مثل ها رو پنجره خود لحظه یه توف کردن لخت